Beneath an endless night sky, the universe seemed still. It was a vast and timeless tapestry, with stars burning quietly across its expanse, distant galaxies swirling with the hidden stories of countless worlds. Among them were the lives of beings who had risen beyond mortality, each driven by a purpose only they could truly understand. In this cold and silent universe, power and balance were eternally contested. But somewhere within this great expanse, there were two figures who understood more than most what it meant to wield power and how to stand against it. Magneto, the Master of Magnetism, floated above a silent world, his cape billowing against the cosmic winds. He had heard whispers of a force that was moving through the universe, a dark tide that threatened all he had ever fought for. Thanos, the Mad Titan, was again enacting his grim vision of balance, leaving entire worlds decimated in his wake. Magneto's hands tightened into fists as he remembered the faces of those he'd vowed to protect. This time, it was not just a question of mutant survival. The Mad Titan's plans would wipe out countless species and civilizations, ending any future for mutants before it even began. Thanos moved through the dark cosmos with the confidence of a god. To him, the eradication of life was not malice, but necessity. Each life taken was another step toward universal stability, a universe free of chaos and waste. He was a soldier to his own ideology, an unyielding force that answered to no one but the abstract concept of balance itself. Yet there was one constant thorn in his side: heroes and beings who failed to grasp the purity of his vision. He had clashed with them countless times, from gods to mortals, and dismissed their pleas as childish rebellions against the inevitable. But he had sensed something unique approaching him across the darkness. This was no ordinary enemy. This was a being with powers that rivaled his own, and one whose motivations were driven not by universal principles, but by a fierce, singular loyalty to his kind. As the two figures drew closer, the very fabric of space seemed to tremble, as if the universe itself anticipated the collision. They met on a barren, storm-lashed world, the ground cracking and groaning under their combined weight. Magneto's eyes burned with cold determination, while Thanos observed his opponent with a calculating intensity. There was no hesitation, no words exchanged. Both knew why they had come, and neither was willing to concede an inch. Magneto struck first, ripping the metal ores from beneath the planet's crust, transforming them into a whirlwind of shrapnel. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashed a barrage of deadly projectiles at Thanos. The Mad Titan's expression remained impassive as he raised his gauntlet, effortlessly redirecting the metal storm with a pulse of cosmic energy. The ground shattered, fragments of rock and metal hanging in the air as the two forces collided with explosive power. For each blast Magneto unleashed, Thanos countered with devastating bursts of cosmic energy, reducing mountains to dust. But Magneto, driven by his cause, only grew stronger with every impact. He pulled on the iron in his blood, the ores buried deep within the planet, and even the cosmic rays that swept through the stars, shaping them into weapons that struck at Thanos from every angle. It was a brutal, beautiful dance of power and control, of ideals so deeply embedded in each of them that they became an extension of their very beings. The battle waged on, each blow altering the landscape until it was an unrecognizable wasteland of molten metal and broken stone. Magneto and Thanos were evenly matched, neither willing to relent. But then, Magneto did something he had never attempted before. Gathering all his power, he concentrated it into a single point between them, compressing the energies until the very laws of physics began to strain. It was a reckless move, one that threatened to consume them both, but Magneto's determination left him blind to all caution. In an instant, a singularity, a small, glowing tear in reality itself, formed between them, pulling at their very beings with an unyielding gravitational force. The singularity, birthed from the clash of such immense power, began to grow unstable, its influence reaching out across dimensions. Thanos realized the danger, but before he could react, a second figure emerged from the tear, a version of himself from an alternate universe, a Thanos even darker and more ruthless, one who had conquered his universe and now sought new realms to subjugate. The two Thanoses exchanged a glance, an unspoken understanding passing between them. They were both conquerors, but neither had ever considered themselves conquerable. Magneto, witnessing this shift, felt a chill pass through him. He had faced powerful enemies before, but two Thanoses was a threat unlike any he had ever encountered. He knew he could not win alone, and so he proposed a temporary truce to the alternate Thanos. Though distrustful, the alternate Thanos accepted, recognizing that without Magneto's magnetic mastery, the singularity would spiral out of control, consuming not just their universe but countless others. Working together, Magneto and alternate Thanos directed their combined powers at the singularity, each straining to contain the volatile energy that pulsed within it. Yet even as they worked side by side, Magneto could feel the threat simmering beneath the surface. He knew the alliance was fragile, built on desperation rather than trust. Every glance from alternate Thanos carried the promise of betrayal, and Magneto prepared himself, anticipating the moment when the Titan would turn on him. That moment came all too soon. As they approached stabilization, alternate Thanos struck, inverting Magneto's magnetic field with a surge of cosmic energy. Magneto's senses were overwhelmed, his powers disrupted, and he felt himself pulled toward the singularity, its gravitational force tearing at his very molecules. But at that instant, the main Thanos intervened, refusing to let his alternate self seize control of this dimension. The two Thanoses clashed in a brutal, vicious display of raw power, each one fighting not just to defeat the other, but to prove his dominance. Magneto, wounded but not broken, gathered the remnants of his strength. Tapping into the magnetic forces around him, he reached beyond himself, drawing energy from the entire cosmos. His power swelled, filling him with an intensity he had never known, and he launched himself back into the fray. With a force that could have cracked planets, he threw himself between the two Thanoses, wielding the singularity's energy as his weapon. The universe itself seemed to ripple as Magneto, Thanos, and alternate Thanos collided in a final, earth-shattering conflict. In a moment of clarity, Magneto seized control of the singularity, shaping its energies to his will. The alternate Thanos was obliterated, his form torn apart and scattered across dimensions. Only the main Thanos remained, and he, too, could not withstand the raw, unrestrained power that Magneto now commanded. With a final, decisive gesture, Magneto cast Thanos into the singularity's depths, banishing him to the endless void between worlds. As the singularity's energy coursed through him, Magneto felt himself change, transcending his former self. He had become a being of pure power, a cosmic architect with the ability to reshape reality itself. The universe lay before him, a canvas upon which he could impose his will. But he knew that with such power came an immense burden. He was no longer merely Magneto, Master of Magnetism. He was now the architect, a cosmic guardian charged with maintaining balance in a universe that would forever view him with fear and awe. In the aftermath, cosmic entities from across the multiverse took notice. Some, like Galactus and the Living Tribunal, viewed Magneto's ascension as a threat, while others saw him as a necessary force to counterbalance the universe's chaotic nature. But even as Magneto stood as a guardian, he could feel the cost of his transformation. He was no longer a man, but a god bound to his duty, isolated by the very power he had sought to control. On Earth, heroes debated Magneto's fate, torn between admiration and fear. Some saw his transformation as a sign of hope, while others feared the potential for destruction that lay within him. And in the shadows of the cosmos, factions began to rise, seeking to claim the remnants of the singularity's power for themselves, hoping to one day challenge the architect's reign. Yet for all his power, Magneto remained alone, a solitary figure watching over the universe he had fought to protect. He had become a symbol, a legend, a being whose name would be whispered in both reverence and fear. And as he stood on the edge of eternity, gazing out into the infinite expanse, he wondered if he would ever truly find peace, or if he was destined to forever bear the weight of the cosmos upon his shoulders.